Okay, so what we're talking about is the application for the development authority that has been out. It closes this week, the 29th at 5 p.m. exactly.
So Corey,
And so,
let me be clear. This is just for individual that lives in District 5. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. Well, let me just say this. I'm going to open it up to anybody who lives within the technical boundaries of the city of South Fulton. And the reason being is, I would love to just say the District 5. However, what I'm saying is, if somebody from the 5th district, now, by all means, let me just say this, that gets precedence over anything. But what I'm saying is, I want the qualifications of a development for the development authority, because one thing is I like subject matter experts, and so is to have the experience and develop something, right? And if you have been a developer, or you've been worked around and in that space for a lengthy of time and have tangible projects that, get this, failed or not, the fact that it is you tried it. And so it's having that experience of going through and having a development under the belt that's what I look for. And so the last person that I did have, Miss Alicia Ivy, who is proprietor of Goldberg's, and who has various different restaurants in the airport, has a drilling company, and she just expanded to Indianapolis Airport. So it's that type of experience that I would be looking for. 5th district automatically is ahead of the pile. But what I'm saying is, if that is not the case, then it's anybody but you have to live within the technical boundaries of the city of South Fulton. I'm pretty sure, almost 100% sure, that we do have that in the 5th district. And so we do have someone that's qualified and has developed something. And so, but the application has been out there for about a week or 2 weeks now. And we haven't had one. We just had an inquirer. But if there's only one, then that's
yeah,
what we're rolling
understandable.
with, right? Because they went through the process.
Okay,
So,
understandable.
right, and so that's how that's just my protocol on how I handle those appointments. But feel free though. And so to all that's out there. So how's everybody? And
hey, Corey, this is Rashard. I have a question.
What? Hold on, Rashard Sneller's doing the call. What? Hold on.
I sure did.
Hey, Rashad.
Drum roll.
How you doing?
Everybody give Rashad
Wonderful. How are you?
a round of applause for joining the call out there. Yes, sir. So we're going to welcome the newcomers here. So yes, sir. What's the question?
All right. So what is the process for, I don't live in District 5, but for anyone that lives in District 5, what is the process for with the city council? Does the city council vote on each application that the city council person refers individually, or do they just say these are the 5 that we have chosen, these are the 7 that we have chosen, and we're going to vote on these 7 collectively? Can you speak to that?
Well, sir, I believe because this is all going to be done at one time. So I think that the names that we submit going through their vetted process, once we submit it, I just believe that it will be voted on collectively. But as you know, we're staggered. So by the way, the appointment of the development authority, the person to develop the development authority, coincides with the tenure of that council representative for that particular district. So 1, 3, 5, and 7, they'll be voted on collectively this year, but at the end of November, or December, January 1, if all things are being considered, y'all know I'm gonna win. And so it's they'll carry over. But if not, they'll be staggered. So 1, 3, 5, and 7 will be voted on. Then 2, 4, and 6 in the mayor's pick will be voted on after the assembly of this launching of the Development Authority, or reappointments.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
it makes sense to me.
It does.
Yes.
Thank you for your question, Mr. Snell. Is that there? Attorney
No problem.
Snell?
No
Yes,
problem.
indeed.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Anything else? Anybody else? How was yes. Hello? Was somebody
Who
saying
was-
something?
No, I didn't.
Okay. So Miss Representative Tish McGee, she was laid to rest this past weekend. And so I'm just going to say that, and they have already called for a special election for District 68. And there is anybody running for District 68 that's on this call?
Jane Williams is running.
There she is, Jane. Would you just like to give a brief synopsis on your candidacy for District 68, State Representative? Jane? Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to move on then. And so today is Legislative Monday, as we are having our council meeting tomorrow. And so who has a hand? Marjani?
Yeah.
Marjani? Yes.
Yes. We're in District 5 in the Pointer Ridge subdivision, and we just had some concerns that we wanted to share regarding things that are here in this community. Is this okay to mention that now?
Yes, ma'am. And let me just say this. The agenda for
I
this call.
apologize, I got cut off.
Oh, no, ma'am. The agenda for this call each and every Monday, it's the people's agenda. So the agenda was what you said it to be. So
Okay.
So go ahead and with some of your concerns, and then we'll take the concerns and I'll write them down, but I will get back with you offline. So because we do try to hold this to an hour. Sometimes we go over.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. The first thing is code enforcement out here is not really enforced. If you call that line, and even if you call the supervisor, no one ever calls you back. You can email. We have several issues out here that really need to be addressed regarding code enforcement. The other thing is when did we become certified? What is it? Zoned that we could have like personal care homes out here and
Group home.
group homes. I didn't know. I thought you had to have a certain zoning
Rooming house.
rooming houses out here. Hello?
Well, rooming houses is a certain zone, but even if it's a certain zone, they still have to go for a special use permit. And so, which I'm pushing for in the special use permit that they have, because they're rooming houses, some kind of fire barrier or fire, the walls in between each room be sort of fire rated, because it's like apartments, except it's a room. And some people cook in their room, have hot plates, things, and
Right.
I think that should have the same regulations as an apartment. And so I'm pushing for that in our special use permit. And I sent that on to our fire chief Dingler, who is over that. And so, but we could talk more about that as like we're still flushing through the process. Hopefully that's
Okay.
make it through. But yes, ma'am. But so to answer your question is that they are permitted under certain zoning. However, it has to have a special use permit. So in other words, I don't think none of them are grandfathered in because all of them have to go back through the process. So, but we'll get offline and get an inventory of what the current situation or the current issues is, or the addresses in which you speak of.
So should I email you the addresses? The addresses?
Yes, ma'am. Well,
Oh, okay.
yes, ma'am. You can email me and email also to Brian Morris, BRIAN.
Yeah, we've been emailing him. He doesn't
Just CC me
answer.
in on it. Right. Just CC me in on it. And
Oh, okay.
we'll go forward. Yes,
Okay. All right.
ma'am. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Corey,
Yes, sir.
could I just say one more thing?
Attorney Snellers, go ahead, sir.
Brian Morris is actually having an event. I think it's called something about compliance. So he's having an event is posted on the city's website. So you could go to that event and you could talk to him personally about it.
And what is that event, Attorney Snellers?
I'm looking for it. I'm looking for it now.
Well, give us an update as soon as you find that, sir, and I
I got
appreciate
you.
it.
I got you.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Power of compliance.
Yeah, that's it.
Yes. Awesome. So, Legislative Monday. I trust everybody read through the agenda. Is there anything on the agenda specific anybody would like to address, discuss?
Where do we get the agenda in advance?
Well, you can get it from you can get the agenda in advance from the city's website, or you can go to District 5, MeWe.org, and it should be posted there. And so awesome. But let me just say this too, is we do have a special guest and he is on. And I'm going to pause for a second and give our new interim CDRA director the floor. His name is Reginald McClendon, also attorney Reginald McClendon. And so is that he's here to give us a little bit of an update on what he's been tasked and asked to do, and he has stepped up to the plate. And so, and in his new role. And so I'm going to let him have the floor, and any questions that pertain to CDRA, ask those questions, and it contains anywhere from zoning to building permits and to land disturbance permits and that caveat. So, Dr. McClendon.
No, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Welcome to
Thank you.
Monday Night Live, sir. Yes, indeed. And so you have the floor, sir.
How you doing? This is Reggie McClendon, interim director of CDRA. Sorry I'm late. I thought we were doing this one in person. I came over here to Burdette Gym, but I think that my wires got crossed on that just a little bit, so my apologies. I'm Reggie McClendon, interim director of community development and regulatory affairs, which is the department for the city of South Fulton, which handles a variety of things. We handle your planning and zoning. We handle your building permit applications, land disturbance permit applications. We also handle the engineering responsibilities for the city.
Hello.
Yeah, and so quite a few things that come through CDRA. And so we will process rezoning requests, special use permit requests, land use requests. We handle the planning functions for the city, which includes your comprehensive plan. We have a comprehensive plan that was passed in 2021, specifically for the city of South Fulton. We'll also handle your smaller area plans, such as what we call LCIs, or what we call local area plans, or local improvement districts, or things of that nature. So I am here to answer any questions that you might have. Councilmember Reeves, if there's anything in particular that you want me to cover, please let me know.
Well, sir. Well, sir. Well, sir, let me just say this.
What's he saying?
Councilman, you're muted. Oh, Lord, you can't hear me.
I am unmuted now, right? Thank you. Okay, thank you, Chandra. And so let me just say this. Mr. McClendon, as I know we've been going back and forth, I want you to speak a little bit to the property located just behind the Commons Plaza off of Highway 279 and Jerome Road. As that's the acreage, and it's going to be a development by D.H. Horton, I believe, D.R. Horton.
My camera on.
And could you just speak a little bit about that? Because see, as that they started, constructing, they just bought the land. But I have an issue with it. I was saying it was R3 zoning when they purchased it, but it was saying it was rezoned back in 2006 when it was unincorporated Fulton County. And could you speak to that just a little bit? And what does that mean as they're going to build how many homes, and what is that going to look like?
Yeah, so I'm not, I'm probably familiar with the development that you're talking about, but it might just, I have so many that it's not jumping out at me right now. But generally with developments, we have to deal with something with what's called entitlements. And entitlements is basically what someone has the right to build based on when they bought the property or what the zoning of the property is when they come in and try to get their building permits or try to get land disturbance permits for the property. So what we're dealing with in the city of South Fulton is that we have lots of parcels, lots of developments that were approved back in Fulton County, many of them before the 2008 recession hit. And so we have a lot of legacy areas back from 2006, 2007 that were zoned, they were platted out, all of that was approved, but then the development never occurred because of the recession. And so now developers are coming back and saying, okay, we're going to go ahead and complete these developments that were planned out 15 or so years ago. And so what will happen is because the plats already exist that have been approved by Fulton County, when they come to the city of South Fulton, we really don't have any discretion in whether or not to grant them their permits to build these developments. So it sounds like with this Jerome Road project that Councilmember Reeves is referring to, that they were probably already entitled to build whatever it is that they're attempting to build under the old Fulton County laws, and that's just the way that the law works in the state of Georgia. When you have a project that is already entitled.
Okay, so speaking of entitlements, and I'm sorry, people, I just want to carry this throughout. This is appease me a little bit. So the entitlements, does that carry over with the owner or with the land? Because D.R. Horton just purchased this property same day as another, like a holding company got it. Basically, the holding company got it, then conveyed it over to D.R. Horton. Does those entitlements transfer with them or with the land? Because see, if they just transfer with the owner, then that resorts back to the original zoning, correct?
No, the entitlements run with the land, much like zoning runs with the land. Any type of zoning variance that you get will also run with the land. And so if one landowner comes in and says, hey, the city code says I can only build 20 feet away from the street, but I want a variance to build 10 feet away from the street, and we grant them that variance, and then they go out the next day and sell the property to somebody else, then that new property owner will be able to take advantage of that variance that's already been granted, because those types of grants will run, and entitlements will continue to run with the land even after the land is sold.
Correct.
Right. So basically, if somebody wanted to they could present one thing, apply for a variance, sell the property, and something completely different can be built based on that variance. So let me ask you a question. If that was the case, how would one just say they want to build, for the sake of argument, a spaghetti factory, and then they get the variance and everything else, and then somebody else comes in and buys it, but want to put a checkers? What tools do we have in our toolbox to say, if we give this a variance for a spaghetti factory, then that's it right there? And if this spaghetti factory does not be built, then it resorts back to the original zoning. Is there tools in our toolbox that we can utilize?
This gets a little technical, but the short answer is the short answer is no to your question, because your question is whether or not we can create a zoning that will automatically revert back to the previous zoning if a certain thing doesn't happen. The answer to that is no. Georgia law doesn't work that way. We would have to go back in and proactively rezone the property back to what it originally was. It couldn't automatically revert back. But we do have the ability to go in and proactively change it back if we wanted to. Now, the tools that we can use in a situation like that, and we just did this, for instance, with the Chick-fil-A development that's coming in, is that you can condition a zoning to a specific site plan. So whatever site plan that corporation or company presents to us when they come in to get their rezoning, we can say, okay, you have to build exactly this. Now, the caveat to that is if Chick-fil-A sold the restaurant to, say, Checkers, if Checkers wanted to come in and build exactly what Chick-fil-A was going to build, but run a Checkers out of it, and they would probably have the ability to do that. We can't zone the property and specify that only a
You're muted.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
I don't know what the last thing was that y'all heard, because I was doing a lot of talking. I was
You were saying that if Chick-fil-A sold it to Checkers, then
yeah. So
how would we handle that?
Zoning to a specific site plan.
Right. So if I was saying that we can zone it to the specific site plan, and if Chick-fil-A were to sell it to Checkers, Checkers would have to come in and build exactly what Chick-fil-A was going to build. Now they would have the right to run a Checkers restaurant out of that location, but they couldn't come in and build what we traditionally think of as a Checkers, because we have owned it specifically to the site plan that was presented to us by Chick-fil-A. So it gets a little complicated. But there are tools that we have where we can at least try our best to protect the city and its citizens against these corporations just selling the property off and then somebody else coming in and doing something that was not intended.
Thank you, sir. And so I'm just for the record, this parcel I'm speaking of, I think it's 250 homes across the street from one condominium complex on Highway 279 called Camelot off Jerome Road. But ladies and gentlemen, go ahead and ask away your questions to our new interim CDRA director, Reginald McClendon. Questions?
Yes, this is Chandra. Good evening, Mr. McClendon. You and I actually met a few weeks ago when I made a visit down to Fulton County regarding a case that directly impacts my community. 0 Estes is the property, to be exact. I am still very concerned, me and my neighbors actually. We were optimistic that because of the location of this, of our home in relation to the rock quarry, that that property would not be able to be started, let alone completed. Now, there are other properties around us that somehow, and this was prior to my moving into the city of South Fulton, that were built in spite of the location proximity to the rock quarry. We are less than a half a mile from the rock quarry. And yeah, I am wanting to stay on top of this because of its direct impact in our peace, let alone potential environmental concerns, home structure concerns directly related to the amount of construction that is going to be required for this build.
Yes, ma'am. Here's what I can say, because I don't think that Councilmember Reeves said this when he introduced me, but I am, while I'm the interim director of the CDRA department, I'm also the assistant city attorney for the city of South Fulton, and so I'm gonna say something that you've all probably heard somewhere before, which is that the question that you're asking me is a matter of ongoing litigation, and I really should not comment on it. I will say that the city did file an appeal in that matter, which was at least partially granted based on our filing. And it has been sent back down to the trial court for the trial court to issue a different ruling. That doesn't mean that the trial court is going to change its mind. It just means that they have to issue a ruling different than the ruling that they initially issued. So that matter is still ongoing. There have been some positive things for the city in that regard, and we're hoping that we can move forward and get that decision overturned.
And one last question to piggyback off of that, and I appreciate you in entertaining my concerns with this. Am I able to provide some information regarding this situation, this case, that you may or may not, that you may or may not be aware of? I understand that things can get lost a lot in paperwork and whatnot as it relates. Though you have your position, I don't expect you to know every single thing about all the nuances that are within the city of South Fulton. So I and my neighbors would like to be an added resource. So are we able to submit email to you things that we want to question that you could use potentially as a weapon, for lack of a better phrase?
Sure, I would say send it to our city attorney, Mr. Vincent Hyman. Really handles litigation, as you probably saw when you
Yes.
in the court, that court hearing. He was the one who was doing all the speaking. So I would say send him any information that you have, because it would be it would be put to much better use in his hands right now than in my hands. But yeah, you can absolutely do that. You can gather whatever information you have and forward it to him, and hopefully he'll be able to use it.
Thank
I
you.
have learned that I should be quiet on these type things because they repeat what I say in the court. So I'm going to follow our attorney's advice. But I think I know everybody should know where I stand on that. Okay, next question. Hold on. Let me do this real quick. Is Samsung SMG9. Can you put your name to that as well, please? I appreciate it. We'll just, hello?
I think that was Miss Chandra. She was just on.
Okay, Miss Collins, go ahead.
Yes, I'm calling regarding the houses to be built on Jerome Road on that property.
Yes, ma'am.
So what options will the city have based on the fact that infrastructure will not be addressed? And as you read on Nextdoor a lot, people are paying these high HOA fees without any amenities. So my question is, will there be, oh, and don't forget street parking. They need ample parking and parking pads for visitors. So will all this be addressed when D.R. Horton constructs this new subdivision?
Well, the answer to that is probably not. If it's my understanding that that this subdivision was already platted out and already had its entitlements prior to the existence of the city of South Fulton. So whatever was platted back in 2005 or 2006 is what is all we can really obligate them to build. Now, here's what I will say where the city has had some success, specifically with D.R. Horton, is just we've been able to kind of talk to them about some of the subdivisions that they've built, some of the complaints that people have had, and we have had some success with having them to correct some issues based on what the community wanted to see. Now, of course, none of that is guaranteed, but I will say that if there are some things that we'd like to see put in place, definitely get with Councilmember Reeves on that and have him communicate with our CDRA department, and we can see if we can just set up a meeting with D.R. Horton and say, hey, we understand that you don't have to do this, but the community would really like to see these things implemented into this development, and it would be a good kind of a good omen for the city's dealings with D.R. Horton as we move forward.
Oh, excuse me, one other thing. Are these single family homes or cluster homes? Do you know?
I don't know. I do not know. My assumption is that they're single family homes. I don't think back in 2006, there were many of these kind of smaller unit home developments being proposed. So it's probably your typical single family detached development.
Okay, thank you.
So right, because I think it's like 30 acres back there as well. But I do tell them that this is Mr. McClendon, is they can put sidewalks from that development on both sides all the way on up to Highway 279, and they could throw in a pedestrian bridge too to go across Highway 279 from. And I just why not? Since you said we asking, just let's ask them. See what they do. Might surprise you. Oh, one that light up too now, by the way. Next, go ahead. Oh, absolutely. It's, why come half stepping, right? So
Right.
it's let's see here is okay.
I would also, this is Chandra again.
That was Margarina.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
Margarina.
Margarina, I think that's it.
Okay, we have any more questions for Mr. McClendon? Oh, so wait. Okay,
Yes,
She's on mute.
Margarina. And then Ms. Collins, was your hand still up?
No, let me take it down.
Okay,
Thank you.
no problem. Mr. McClendon, you getting right on through this, brother. I tell you, I appreciate
Okay,
it.
Chandra has another question, I think, Councilman.
yeah, I do. And sorry, I'm on my cell, so that's why it's coming up SS. But this is Chandra Simmons. So my question, just to piggyback on what Ms. Collins, as well as my questions that I've asked, is there any way that there are representatives from the city of South Fulton that could be on site when these developments are being built, so that scenarios so that the problems that communities have had with was it D.L. Horton are preventable? Is there some sort of direct oversight, not just in theory, but physically present on the property while these homes are being built?
Yes, ma'am. The city of South Fulton is 94 square miles, and we have 3 land development inspectors. And we have we outsource currently our building inspections. We're hoping to bring that in-house soon. But we have about 4 or 5 people who kind of do full-time building inspections for the city of South Fulton. That's not enough. We do they do a very good job of kind of getting around as much as they can. But as you can imagine, with only 3 people with that large of a land mass, they just can't be everywhere at the same time. We tend to what we try to do is respond to any complaints that we get, or any situations where people call us and say they think something is going wrong. But it's not possible to have someone stationed on site for all of these developments that we have in the city of South Fulton. And of course, there's always a delicate balance in government when we talk about how many employees we have doing specific things, because of course, while the citizens want as many people as we can get to do that type of work, it also costs money. And so, there's a balance between how many land development inspectors we have, and what your tax bill is every year. And so we certainly do well with what we have, and we try to respond to all complaints that we get, or anything that anytime somebody calls us and says, hey, can y'all go check this out, it doesn't look right. But we just can't have someone stationed at every development to monitor it at all times.
But what we can't have, sir, is oversight, correct?
And we do have oversight. We we bring people in before they build anything. We have pre-construction meetings with them. We have our engineering department, our land development and building inspectors we all get together in the same room, and we have them tell us exactly what they're going to do and how they're going to do it. We talk to them about their erosion control and their sedimentation control, and how they do their construction entrances, and how the trucks come in and out, and what time they can come in and out. And we go through the whole process with them prior to them starting to build. Now, of course, once they get out there on the ground, anything can happen, and we do try to have oversight over that. I should say we do have oversight over that, but we just simply can't catch everything. But we do try to respond to something if you all let us know that something's going wrong on the site.
Right, absolutely. And one of the things that I would say is this is the detention ponds that come into place. As I'm pretty sure this will have an HOA and they will inherit the detention pond. Well, the one thing that the developer that we should hold true that before we give any bond or anything back is to make sure that they're working in proper order. And in order to do that, then they must have and turn over to the HOA the MPDS permit sampling throughout the cycle. And one thing that will ensure is that they give the HOA essentially like the detention pond with a zero balance. In other words, is correct. And the only way that you know that it's correct is during a rain event. I mean, that's just you're not going out there in dry weather. Hey, that's not happening. You only do that during a rain event, and so sometimes they just construct or they give things over, to a HOA, unbeknownst to them, but they basically give them a sink with a leaking pipe. And so but we can't assure that happens because that's one of the major things that we have in our city. We have to regularly go back with Fulton County, but we can't control going forward. And so that's one of the things that I would like to see before they get a CO or anything, or they get their bond dollars back, and to correct the ones that they are already got to go fix. And so, as I'm just stop right there. But anybody else?
I have another question.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, speaking of all these expert people that are experts going to review the work that these developers are building, Riggins Ridge is one of them, where they approved the houses they built on the edge of the creek, and it's caving in. And I don't think D.R. Horton ever went back to make those repairs. You remember, Corey?
Oh, yes, ma'am. We are talking with, as Mr. McClendon was alluding to earlier, that's one of the communities that we're addressing right now, and so and then conversation with them. So we just got it's just timing, right? It's just
It
just
may
time.
be tiny to D.R. Horton, but it's important to the people that purchase the property that pays it every month.
Bingo.
Oh,
okay.
It's a sense of urgency. Get it? Oh, no. It's a sense of urgency, but I'm just saying like timing because it took 10 years just to get them to the table. And all I'm saying is they have something that we can leverage active right now, but I'm not in turn. I'm let me stop. I don't want to overshoot my mouth and say, assume what we can do legally. And so, but we do know that they have a development here and they need to correct some things. So I'm gonna let our staff and our subject matter experts handle that in legalese language.
Right. And the cluster houses that have been built, and that's all on the news, that have all these issues, and the developer will not go back and make the repairs. That is another issue that the citizens are facing in the city of South Fulton.
Absolutely. So, Mr. McClendon, so to piggyback off of that, what do you say and how important are impact fees? Like, whereas the condition with D.R. Horton coming to this development, they just have no choice but to construct the sidewalks all the way to the next busiest corner, which would be Highway 279. What would you say to the importance of that, sir?
Yeah, that is very important that we try to get impact fees in the city of South Fulton that will essentially force the developers to build out infrastructure as they come in and get their developments. Now we can currently, we currently have the authority to have them to do these improvements at the property that they're building. So, if they build a development that fronts, 1,000 feet on a certain street, we can tell them, hey, you got to put sidewalks in front of your development. But if we want them to go beyond that, then we would have to impose some impact fees on them and have them pay into the city, and then have it so that the city could go out and make those improvements with those dollars. So impact fees is something that the last director of CDRA was working on. It's a ball that I'm picking up, and it's going to take a little bit of time and effort to get there, but I'm confident that we can get impact fees implemented in the city of South Fulton.
Absolutely. And I do want to caveat, and I'm still waiting on the question, but I do believe that one is this development is in the overlay zone, but then two is, I believe it's in the Rock Quarry impact zone. And I asked for a moratorium until we can come up with some regulations out there within the Rock Quarry impact zone based on what our zoning map and then our comprehensive plan says, but we're going to work through that. And so, because there's some things that that Rock Quarry, I mean, they built some townhomes. I mean, you can literally walk out the back and you see the mountain. It looks like Stone Mountain.
Yeah.
So, but I'll take you by it, Mr. McClendon. It'll absolutely shock you. And so, but this is the situation in which these communities are so adversely against building, and why they're so adversely against building. And so, it's like, so it's the caveat of the Rock Quarry. I know it was here after some homes was established, but some homes should not have been built, but they have been built. And we're looking at the long-term effects of those houses and those people's homes, their investments. And, you know, some people are stuck because they just have another choice and they're watching their investment just erode away. But we'll talk about that further. And, you know, like I said, we can just, whatever we can do, we're going to try to do all
another
that we can.
question too. This is Chandra again. So
hold on, wait, Chandra. Before anybody, but I know you, I love you, Chandra, like that. But I see Fairwood HOA. Is that Ms. Johnson? We're gonna get back to you, Chandra.
take the floor. Take the floor. I'm fine.
Yes, this Miss Johnson. Okay, I don't understand how Horton get to be. I understand you saying that happened in Fulton County, but going forward, city of South Fulton need like let Horton build anything in the city of South Fulton because he do not build anything but junk. Okay, let's go over to Riggin Ridge. I have people that live over in Riggin Ridge. They bought their house. That ravine runs all the way down the back side of that subdivision over there. They put a fence in. The people over there living on the ravine, the fences is falling down because the land is corroding. Within 5 more years, those houses will be hanging off the cliff. And so I just don't understand. I know what you said, that happened in Fulton County, but going forward for the city of South Fulton, Hart need not to be given a permit. He come into the Black 6 area and put up junk with his reputation. He don't go nowhere else and build no junk.
Ms. Johnson, Ms. Johnson, for the record, I want to just be clear. D.R. Horton just purchased this property August of 2022. So they didn't have it in 2006. Okay, right. I got you what you're saying, but I do want you to go ahead and talk to him about Transit Circle, because I know this is something that is on your mind.
Oh yeah, don't let me forget that. I was gonna get that. Okay, over on Transit Circle, Mr. Baker, he came in, tore up that land over there. He have left that land. People land over the other people's houses. It is corroding the property, running water down on their land. And he just walked away and left the land. And that is in the Fairwood subdivision.
All right, I don't believe that that's one that I'm familiar with, Councilmember Reeves. If you want to send me a email on that, or have Tamiko send me an email, I'll certainly have our inspectors go out and take a look if they haven't already. But that's not one that's not popping into my head as one that I'm recalling right now.
Well, I will just forward you all the ones that it went to prior to you. And recently it should have came, but however, it went to the Mr. Venezuela and that group, and then the former person preceded you. So, but to carry on, thank you, Ms. Johnson. And so to carry on with that, we're going to try to transition here because CDRA kind of deals with the zoning and things of that nature. And Mr. McClendon, you know I'm about forward thinking and forward progress and just new developments of all kinds, shapes, sizes, and ideas. So, appease us. Miss Suzette, are you still on the call? Suzette,
She's on the call. She's on mute.
you on mute. I told her I would give her 5 minutes.
She's
Okay,
on mute
okay.
now.
Ow. I am here. Okay, I made after everybody's remarks last Monday, I sent over a drawing to Corey, and it entails creating emergency rooms in Fulton County South. So that includes East Point, that includes College Park, that includes City of South Fulton, includes Fairburn and Palmetto and Union City. So there's numerous ones that we can do. And what my plan initially is to create this emergency room, which is 24-hour, 7-day a week, where you have doctors and nurses in affiliation with the hospital authority of Fulton County. And what it does is it, by using shipping containers, you're able to have 16 rooms for emergencies.
Okay, Miss Suzette, your phone is going in and out. It's kind of choppy.
Oh, okay. Well,
Nikki, are you? Go ahead.
I'm
The kids
still
still
here.
talk. Huh?
I'm still here.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. It sounds clear now.
Okay. All right. Hopefully this is better. I've got my mic closer to my face. I am at Walmart checking out. But the thing of it is that I would use 16, or not 16, but 6 shipping containers and build out the middle so that there would be a, emergencies handled 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And they would have emergency room staff that would handle and stabilize what everybody has to go through. Not everybody has to go to the hospital.
Okay,
What would
okay.
happen is that,
Okay, Suzette, check this out. We got your gist, right? Emergency rooms take out of shipping containers. Now,
that is correct.
now, we're gonna put a period right there. Now, Mr. McClendon, what is in our current zoning out there regarding shipping containers and any build or construct that we can do with shipping containers?
Yeah, currently it is my understanding that we do not allow any development in shipping containers in the city of South Fulton. So the zoning code would have to be changed to allow for that.
Correct. And so as just think about just kind of get an idea what Ms. Suzette was saying. I know people, y'all too young to remember this, but I used to watch this TV show called MASH. And so it was about a medical field and, and
Ellen
they had
Alda.
tents. Huh?
Helen Alda was one of the stars.
Absolutely. So basically it's like a fortified massive tent or whatever. And because we are in the hospital desert, one of the things we lack is emergency rooms and emergency room care. And of course that they will be sterile. But let me just say this, ladies and gentlemen, is I know when people think about containers, they think about a lot of things. But go look at Container Yard in Las Vegas. Go look at the Container Villages. They got a Container Mall. They have a lot of things made out of shipping containers. It's sustainable, it's reusable, it's safe, environmentally friendly, hurricane and wind resistant. And I'm just saying that it's something that we should really look at as, because I would like a stage made out of shipping containers, the acousticals is so vibrant. And so is that something? Let me just say that. Let me just ask the people on this call, is that an idea that you guys are open to? It's just a yes or no. You can just put it in the chat. And so we'll see how we can carry that forward as we will move the needle along, push in the direction of forward construction of new concepts that are out there and that are actually in place and working. And so, but Container Park out there in Old Vegas, Mr. McClendon, have you been out there?
I have not.
Okay.
I have
Well,
not
let me
been.
just.
My wife is trying to get me to go see the Usher concert, so I might be going soon.
I mean, well, look here. He has residency there. The broadcasting all over the place. I'm just saying that, you know, ATL and the ATLian, you know, you should go out there and check it out. But stay in Old Vegas. That's when you're going to get the real experience, because say that digital canopy, where we can put that down here, that's what I would love to have. And they go zip line, and I just say it's forward thinking. But ladies and gentlemen, it is 7:34. Oh, Chandra, I was coming back to you.
I got a question, Mr. Reed, before you let Chandra go ahead, and I'll. You want me to go now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, yes, go ahead, Mr. Conway.
Okay. I received a card in the mail. Came last week. And it's from Maxwell, Reddick, and Associates. And it says, "Dear Sir, Madam, this is to notify you that Howard Station Baptist Church has applied to the city of South Portland for a special use permit to allow a church to operate within R4 and A1 zoning district. Special use permit applying to the property at 2601 Flat Shoals Road and will occupy the existing building that previously used as a church and is currently vacant." Correct. And it's asking for my feedback. So what is this about? Do you know?
It's a church applying to be a church where there used to be a church. So Mr. McClendon could talk. Mr. McClendon could talk further, and articulate better. But to me, that's what that is.
So I don't have to give any feedback to these people.
Oh, give them your feedback, Mr. McClendon. Could you elaborate further, please, sir?
Yes, sir. So most churches, especially in our community, are in residential zoning districts. And so what the city of South Fulton has done is said that in order to operate a church, you need what's called a special use permit. And what that basically does is give city council the ability to kind of look at each case on a case-by-case basis and say whether or not they think that it's appropriate for this use to be on this particular parcel. So this church, I'm not familiar with this one exactly. I'm probably familiar with it, but it's not popping into my head. But it sounds like there used to be a church at this facility that has that at some point ceased to operate. And so now a new congregation is coming in and attempting to buy that property and operate a church out of it. And in order to do so, they need to come to the city and get a permit to use that building as a church. And so if you think it would be appropriate for a church to be located at that facility, then you should give positive feedback. But if you think that it would disrupt the community in a negative manner, then you should give negative feedback. But that's what the entire process is designed to do, is to allow citizens to chime in as to whether or not they think a particular use is appropriate on that particular property.
Okay, got it.
All right, awesome. So Chandra, go ahead, and then we'll end.
Mine can truly wait. I could reach out to, well, I think I asked it in the chat, but my question, just to piggyback
I
on
think
the,
Chandra just wanted to chime in and tell everybody how well dressed I was at the court hearing when she came down to see us try that case. I
Hey,
do appreciate it.
Because you know when
You-
you go on to
you-
represent the fifth now, you got to go GQ now.
you were casket clean. I have to admit, you were casket clean. Not that I'm trying to usher you to the grave, but you were sharp. You were sharp. But no, that wasn't my question. I wanted to know if there are opportunities for the city to rescind a developer's license in such cases as the DL Horton. DR Horton, yes. Because it almost sounds as if it's negative reinforcement. If nothing serious happens and we, the homeowners, are the ones left with the full responsibility of being tethered to a mortgage on a house that doesn't feel like a home.
Yes, ma'am. So that's yet another one of those questions that gets a bit complicated, but it is something that we have been in discussions about as recently as the last couple of weeks at the city. The complicated piece of it is that the city does not grant these licenses. We don't give out contractor licenses. That goes through the state of Georgia. And so it becomes a question of, so of course we can't revoke someone's license because we don't grant it. So the question becomes, can we stop somebody from doing work within the city if they are a duly licensed contractor with the state? That's an answer that I don't quite have, or that's a question that I don't quite have the answer to just yet. I am going to, we're still researching that and checking with some other jurisdictions to see if we can, what we would basically be doing is kind of creating a no-fly list to say that these developers just cannot operate within the city of South Fulton.
I like
I
the
don't
sound
know.
of that.
I do too, but I don't know if it's legal.
Well, let me just say, go ahead.
Yeah. So we are researching it and looking into it, and if it can be done, I can let you know that there are certainly multiple council members who are in favor of implementing something like that. So if it can be done, I think it will be done. If it can be done.
Well, Mr. McClendon, I believe in the brain trust of our attorneys, and I'm just going to say this: if a liquor license can be revoked, I think a building license can be too. And the city, and to get us within the technical boundaries of the city of South Fulton. So that's just a small little dot in the state of Georgia. And so they can go anywhere else. They just can't come here. And so, but however, I'm gonna leave that to the brain trust of our attorneys, as I do believe in y'all and all that y'all do, and I appreciate all that y'all do. And as Chandra said, usher y'all in, as we're just gonna use that word usher. Word of the day. Go see it, and then go see all the new developing concepts that Vegas does have to offer. And when you come back, I just think about Highway 279 redesign, because as we construct, particularly the sidewalks down to the second half from Flat Shoals to 138, let's look at pedestrian bridges that light up at night, because due to the number of fatalities that has happened over the course of the years and the delay of the sidewalks, I think that we can just look at that model as pedestrian bridges as a wave of the future along Highway 279. But with that being said, Mr. McClendon, I do thank you for taking the time out of your day and coming and joining this call. I do apologize for the mix-up, as we are straight virtual right now, as just sustainable as this. But when we go live, we'll just go on set and go on a site as we'll just be out of the community. And so, but that's going to kind of be on an on-call deal. So sorry about that. I do apologize. And for all of you who took out the time of your day to join this call, I appreciate it. I hope you have got educated in some kind of way. I do love you. You can't do nothing about it. Tomorrow is the council meeting. Please be sure to attend or chime in. If you have anything to say about the agenda or any item on the agenda, please come and do speak freely. And so with that, I do bid y'all a good night. Happy Monday. And the Final Four, as I want to tell you, whose bracket is still in check? Whose bracket is still intact? 3 teams for the first time ever is in the Final Four. So, ladies and gentlemen, history is being made, and we are making history, and you are the greatest part of the city of South Fulton, and I thank you. And have a good night.
Thanks. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Good night.